The sun was harsh even though it was early morning, painting long shadows on the roadside shelter where 12-year-old Rhea sat trembling in her wheelchair, clutching the worn fabric of her skirt as if it were the only thing keeping her world together. Cars sped past as if her tears were invisible, as if broken families were normal scenery. But what made this moment unforgettable, what made strangers slow down to stare, was the way Rhea lifted her chin, wiped her face with a trembling hand, and whispered words that no child should ever have to say. She looked up at the tall, intimidating billionaire standing before her, a man feared in the business world and respected by governments, and pleaded with a voice raw from crying, "Please, please don't adopt me. Adopt my mom instead. If you believe kindness deserves a second chance, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Chronicles. It helps stories like this reach more hearts from a distance." The scene looked surreal, wealth towering over poverty, power standing over helplessness, but nothing about Rhea's life had ever been simple or fair. Her mother, Zara Yusuf, stood a few steps behind, her hands shaking as she tried to fix her hair, trying to hide the exhaustion etched into her face. She had spent years running from debt, from cruel landlords, from jobs that paid in insults instead of dignity, but all those battles felt small compared to the one she faced now, the possibility of losing her daughter forever. Rhea had been born with a spinal condition that slowly worsened, leaving her unable to walk by the time she turned 9. Zara had been there through every fall, every surgery, every night of silent tears when Rhea whispered sorry for being too heavy to carry anymore. Yet Zara never complained. She worked double shifts cleaning offices, washed dishes at small eateries, and sold handmade keychains at roadside stalls. She didn't have money, but she had courage, the kind of courage that grows in mothers who have nothing left to lose except the child they love. But courage doesn't pay hospital bills, and that's how the billionaire entered their life. His name was Adrian Vale, a man known across the country for turning bankrupt companies into gold, but known privately for a tragedy almost no one dared mention. His only child, a daughter Rhea's age, had passed away 3 years earlier after a long illness. Since then, Adrian's face had hardened, his voice had sharpened, and photographers stopped looking for smiles when they captured him because they knew warmth no longer lived in his eyes. He donated billions to hospitals and orphanages, but he never visited them. He gave money but never connection, until the day he saw Rhea. It happened at the city hospital. Rhea was in the hallway, her wheelchair stuck at a tilted angle because one wheel had loosened again. She pushed with her small hands, trying not to cry even though frustration trembled inside her. Adrian walked past her, eyes down, lost in his own solitude, but the small, strained sound she let out, the barely audible wince, made him pause. He didn't know why he turned back. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the ghost of his daughter tugging at a corner of his heart. Or maybe it was because for the first time in years, someone's pain didn't scare him, it made him feel alive. He fixed the wheel in silence. Rhea thanked him quietly. And Adrian, without understanding why, felt something tighten in his chest. Their encounter might have ended there, but life had different plans. 2 days later, Adrian discovered through a hospital administrator that Rhea's surgery had been delayed for the 3rd time because Zara couldn't make the down payment. That piece of information, spoken casually, ignited something dangerous inside him: anger at a world that dared to repeat his past, at a system that let poverty steal children's futures. Within an hour, he had paid the entire amount. Within 2 hours, the hospital informed Zara. Within 3 hours, Zara was running down the hall, her breath broken, her heart collapsing in disbelief, and that was the day he met Zara, the woman who raised a girl with courage but carried none for herself. She thanked him until her voice cracked, until tears soaked her sleeves, but Adrian kept telling her it wasn't charity. He said it was a responsibility of the fortunate. But deep down, he knew that wasn't the whole truth. He felt drawn to the quiet strength in her eyes, to her resilience, to the way she stood firm even when life tried to swallow her whole. After the surgery, Adrian visited Rhea more often. He brought her books, puzzles, and small mechanical toys she could assemble with her hands. Rhea brought something too light. Her laughter was soft but steady, her mind sharp, her curiosity endless. She reminded him of a world he thought he had buried, but something else grew too. The fear in Zara's eyes. It didn't matter if Adrian was kind. Kindness from powerful people comes with shadows, with uncertainty, with consequences, and those consequences arrived one breezy, bright afternoon at the roadside shelter. The social worker had explained it gently. Adrian wanted to offer Rhea a permanent home. Adoption. A family with every resource she would need for therapy, schooling, surgeries, mobility training, a future Zara could never afford. Zara had broken down. Not because she was selfish, but because she loved her daughter more fiercely than her own heartbeat. She knew Rhea deserved everything Adrian could give her, but she also knew what adoption meant. It meant goodbye. It meant never again holding Rhea's hand at night. It meant losing the child she had fought every battle for, and when Rhea learned the truth, she cried until she could barely breathe. Then she asked to meet Adrian. She demanded it, despite her voice wavering, and that brought them to that roadside shelter. Rhea's voice cracked as she lifted her eyes again, her cheeks streaked with trembling lines of tears. She didn't care that Adrian was a billionaire. She didn't care that people whispered his name with respect. She spoke from the depth of a child's breaking world and begged him for the only thing her heart wanted: please don't adopt me. Adopt my mom instead. She deserves a good life. She deserves rest. She deserves everything I can never give her. For the first time in years, Adrian's breath deserted him. He understood pain. He understood loss. He understood walls and silence and grief that hardens like stone. But he had never heard something so selfless come from someone so young. Zara tried to hush her, kneeling beside the wheelchair, brushing tears from her daughter's face and whispering, "No, sweetheart, no, don't say that." But her own tears betrayed her strength. Adrian didn't speak for several seconds. He simply watched the mother and daughter before him, one offering herself for the other's happiness, the other falling apart trying to be strong, and in that moment, he knew the truth. He couldn't take Rhea away, but he also couldn't walk away. His voice, when it finally came, was rougher than he expected. He told them that he didn't want to replace anyone. He didn't want to break their family. He didn't want to redraw lines in their hearts. He wanted to help, truly help, not by taking something precious, but by protecting it. Zara shook her head, overwhelmed. "I can't accept more charity," she whispered. "It's not charity," Adrian said softly. "It's partnership." He offered them something neither had imagined: a home where Zara could work with dignity, with stability, without fear or debt. A home where Rhea would have full-time therapy, schooling, adaptive training, and everything she needed without being separated from her mother. He didn't want one of them, he wanted both of them safe. Zara tried to refuse again, but Adrian gently told her something no one had dared say since her husband abandoned her years earlier: strength like yours shouldn't be punished by life. The decision wasn't immediate. Zara cried. Rhea cried. Adrian felt something inside him crack open and breathe again. But in the end, they agreed, not because they wanted luxury, but because they finally saw hope staring back at them. Life after that changed slowly, not like a miracle, but like morning light spreading over a dark landscape. Adrian gave them rooms in his guest wing, but he insisted that Zara not treat it like charity. She became the coordinator for his foundation's outreach programs, managing welfare for children with disabilities. For the first time in years, she earned fairly, slept peacefully, and lived with dignity. Rhea, with therapy and adaptive equipment, learned to maneuver on her own with a specially designed electric wheelchair. Adrian personally oversaw her schooling, making sure she had every tool she needed. And little by little, her confidence grew. The house, once silent, began to echo with life again: soft laughter, clinking dishes, Rhea's excited voice explaining her new robotics project, Zara humming while cooking, and Adrian rediscovering what it meant to belong somewhere. But the moment that truly changed everything happened during a sunny afternoon in the mansion garden. Rhea was practicing moving across the stone pathway, her wheels gliding smoothly. Adrian watched from a distance, hands in his pockets, a faint smile touching his face. When she reached him, she looked up with bright, fearless eyes and said the words that finally freed him from years of grief: "Thank you for choosing us without taking us away from each other." And in that moment, his healing truly began. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Chronicles. Your engagement helps these stories reach more souls in need of hope.